I'm Anne, and I'm a docent volunteer at the California Academy. And we're talking about penguins. So penguins are unusual birds in that they don't fly. But birds all have one thing in common, even if they don't fly, and that's feathers. So I thought today we'd talk a little bit about feathers. So first I'm going to tell you about feathers in general. Feathers are made of keratin, the same stuff that's in your hair and your fingernails. It's kind of amazing stuff, but your hair and your fingernails are simple. The feathers are kind of complicated. And let me show you how that works. Feathers come in all different sizes. These two feathers come from a larger bird. This is a wing feather. It's a flight feather because it doesn't really have much on the top. This one is a tail feather because it's even in the bottom. Feathers are one of nature's miracles. They're very complicated. If you find a feather when you're walking around, take a close look at it. You'll be amazed. You can take the feather and sort of pull it apart a little bit like that. And that happens when the bird is flying. And then you can take your fingers and smooth it back, and it fixes itself. Feathers are in fact made of thousands of little tiny hooks that hold the feather together. It's amazing, your hair falls out and so do the feathers. If you look at this one on the tip, you can see that it's kind of worn. All right, so if you're lucky enough to find a feather when you're walking around, pick it up and take a close look at it. Penguins have feathers, but their feathers are also different. They have lots of little tiny feathers. Nothing we're going to see on a penguin is nearly as big as that one. This is a picture of feathers that were found on a big emperor penguin. Emperor penguins live in Antarctica, and they have 21 different kinds of feathers. We're going to talk mostly about this one, the one that's right in the middle with the black tip, because that's the kind of feather on the back of the bird that allows penguins to swim. Penguins live where it's cold and they swim under that cold water. So we're going to ask how the penguin feathers help the penguins stay warm. Okay. Penguin feathers tend to be very small. I showed you this feather. Here's a picture of a little tiny penguin feather. See my hand? See how small it is? These are the feathers on the penguin's back. And they have kind of loose edges and they fit together very tightly. And they make a waterproof layer on the outside of the penguin. Inside, you have thousands and thousands of different kinds of what we call down feathers. And if I can get the light to work here, underneath you can see in this plastic envelope, I have lots of little tiny fuzzy feathers. And if you're lucky enough to have a down pillow or a down comforter at home, sometimes the feathers come out and you can see they're tiny. But lots of down feathers mushed together make a layer of insulation for the penguin. So if I take this and I say that's the penguin's skin, and then I take a layer of down and I put the layer of waterproof feathers on top of it, you can see what happens. There's a pretty big space of air in between the penguin's back and the penguin's skin or its feathers, okay, that make it waterproof, and that keeps it warm when it's under the water or when it's up on the ice, okay? So we know that's what happens. And one of the ways you can see this happening, which is really cool, is you go on the Academy website and you look at the underwater cam of the penguins swimming. My friend who works with the penguins says they're most active in the morning or in the afternoon, about 3:30, when they're being fed. What you want to do is you want to watch the penguin. When it dives in the water, you'll see bubbles come out of it. But the bubbles aren't coming out of the penguin's nose, and they're not coming out of its bum. They're coming out of its back. And that's because the layer of air in between the penguin's skin and its feathers is full of air, and they come out. There's another video that was published by SeaWorld Orlando that also has a lot of penguins in it. They have an underwater camera in their penguin display, and that video is on YouTube. And if you have YouTube, you can look at that. They have bigger penguins and they dive a little deeper, and you see these huge bubbles coming out of the penguin's back. So now when you watch the penguins, you're going to know where those bubbles come from, and that they part of the penguin's way of staying warm when it's up on the ice and under the water. I hope you have fun doing that. Thanks. Bye.